Hello everyone, welcome to the Buzz the Prey Manga. Today we continue the latest Global Freeze chapter, rewritten and edited by me in English for a smooth reading experience. All visuals and story flow are personally edited to give you the best manga style storytelling. Support the original creator by checking the official manga. So let's dive right into the today's chapter.
Chapter 28:02 Strength Determines Status 2. The Moon People have arrived too. Saladin murmured. In their impression, the Lunarians were only interested in sealing Samuel and were indifferent to the affairs of Earth. Zhang Yi looked at the empty seats around them. No one was deliberately trying to get close or curry favor. Clearly, the Yu people were not fond of other ethnic groups, or rather, they kept their distance from them. After all, the origin of the Moon People is very unique. They are special life forms created by the Ihen and Druk people and can be described as an artificial race. This fundamental difference creates a natural barrier between them and the myriad races of the naturally evolved planet Earth. Just now, Zhang Yi saw several people trying to curry favor with the representatives of the Moon People's tribe, only to be driven back by Guangmian icy, knife-like gaze, and they returned dejectedly. Go say hello. Zhang Yi stood up and straightened his collar. Hey, prisoner, are you going? Fatty Su tugged at Zhang Yi's sleeve with some concern. Those two people looked so fierce. The sea snake that tried to get close was frozen solid. Don't worry, that's someone I know. Zhang Yi smiled, stepped onto the platform, and walked up the steps toward the Moon People's seats. This action immediately attracted the attention of the surrounding races. Look, that chaos is going to provoke the Lunarians. Haha, you're getting cocky after just killing a few Black Knights? The Lunarians don't buy into that. They're incredibly arrogant and don't give any face to anyone except for top-tier powers like the Dragon Clan. Just wait and see. They're definitely going to get a rude awakening. Whispers arose all around, mostly gloating and mocking. Zhang Yi ignored him and went straight to the Moon People's seat. Sensing the approaching person, Yanyu Jinyu, who had been resting with her eyes closed, suddenly opened them, and a sharp black killing intent instantly locked onto the newcomer. Beside him, radiant silver jade also turned its head and even condensed a ball of moonlight energy in its hand. When they saw the person's face clearly, their previously cold and aloof expressions underwent a dramatic change. Chaos Pavilion. Guangmian Yinshuan's silver eyes lit up instantly. The energy in her hands dissipated, and an extremely rare, even gentle, smile appeared on her face. Is it you, Makoto? I just heard that you were fighting a big battle outside the city, and I was wondering if it could be you. I didn't expect to meet you, Makoto. Even the usually gloomy Yanyu Jinyu stood up. Although his face still didn't show much expression, his tense body clearly relaxed, and he even nodded slightly to Zhang Yi. Long time no see. This scene completely stunned the representatives of various ethnic groups who were waiting to see what would happen. Am I seeing things? That cold, aloof Moon People general, he smiled. Why? Why was he so polite to that human? Zhang Yi ignored the pile of dango scattered all over the ground, smiled and walked over, naturally sitting down in the empty seat next to the two of them. Long time no see, you two. I've missed you dearly since we last met. Zhang Yi's attitude was very warm, as if he had met an old friend he hadn't seen for many years. Although his experience on the moon was dangerous, he did indeed forge a good friendship with these two high-ranking Moon People. In particular, he possesses the Ihen clan's legacy, Ling, which makes his position in the eyes of the Lunarians extremely special. Zhang Yaij, you're too kind. Guangmian Yinshuan smiled and said, It's a bit noisy here. If you don't mind, you can sit here and catch up with us. Then I won't be polite. After Zhang Yi sat down, he asked with some curiosity. Speaking of which, the Moon People have always rarely participated in Earth's conflicts, remaining in a state of detachment. Although this all-races conference is grand in scale, I don't think it should be enough to alarm the Silver Moon and Dark Moon empires to send representatives at the same time, right? Upon hearing this question, Guangmian Yinshuan and Yanyu Jinyu exchanged a glance, their smiles fading slightly and turning serious. If it were just a regular battle for Earth, we wouldn't be interested. The radiant silver crown raised its head and looked through the transparent dome at the non-existent moon. But this time is different. The arrival of the star corridor is terrifying in its sheer size and the gravitational waves it carries. It affects not only the state of Earth, but also the gravitational balance of the entire Earth-Moon system and even the entire solar system. Nightmare Moonfeather took over the conversation, his voice low and hoarse. Just now, the moon's orbit had already experienced a barely perceptible shift. If left unchecked, once that behemoth truly crashes into the inner solar system, Earth may still be able to survive, but the moon, as a satellite, is very likely to be torn apart by gravitational tides. This is a crisis concerning the survival of the Lunarians, and we cannot stand aside. Upon hearing this, Zhang Yi felt a chill run down his spine. Indeed, when the nest is overturned, no egg remains unbroken. The starry sky corridor, this super variable, has forcibly bound all civilizations within the solar system to an out-of-control war machine. Zhang Yi and Yuren greeted the two representatives and then went back. The moon people are indifferent by nature, and it's already a rare treat to be able to communicate with them. They're not good at being perfunctory with others, and Zhang Yi doesn't chat with them either. As time went by, the Great Hall of the Council of All Spirits, which could hold 100,000 spirits, gradually became packed to capacity. Countless representatives of various races, like 100 rivers flowing into the sea, filled the layers of the circular, suspended grandstand. The air was filled with a mixture of various scents, the dry smell of sand, the damp smell of fish, and the cold smell of metal. In the central area of the venue, the purple gold platform where Zhang Yi was located undoubtedly became the eye of the storm for the entire event. Although many powerful races still maintain an indifferent or hesitant attitude towards the modern people, that undisguised contempt has disappeared. The reason why Zhang Yi was replaced by others was that many small races that had previously mocked him outside the city began to shamelessly come forward to curry favor. Oh dear! Chaos Pavilion. There were too many people and too many eyes outside the city, so I didn't have a chance to properly greet you. A slippery, whitish sound rang out. Upon seeing the earthworm representative, Asaki, whose body was covered in slime and had no limbs, he wriggled over like a giant worm. Its head, devoid of facial features, parted into a mouth full of sharp teeth, revealing an extremely ingratiating smile. Actually, our earthworm clan has long admired the culture of the Huashu kingdom. What happened just now was a misunderstanding, a complete misunderstanding. Following closely behind was the burly, giant-toothed man from the Giant Tooth tribe, Big Tooth. He scratched his large, shark-like head and chuckled sheepishly. Yes, we Giant Tooth clan admire the strong the most. If you could take down those 4 annoying guys, you'd be our big brother. Chapter 28. Oh, 3 The strongest of our time 1. Wings fluttered in the sky, and the representative of the Skywing clan, Lightwing, also restrained his arrogance, landed on the edge of the platform, and gracefully bowed. Your Excellency Chaos, the Skywing clan pays homage to you. In fact, in the last era, which was also the 5th generation of civilization, our clans were always vassal states that depended on the Great Dragon clan for survival. Guangyi lowered his voice, seemingly explaining, but actually trying to find a backer for himself. Since you are an ally of the Dragon clan, then we are all family. If I have offended you before, please forgive me for the sake of the Dragon clan. Looking at these typical opportunists, Zhang Yi could only sneer inwardly. This is a world where the strong prey on the weak. When you are weak, they will stomp on you without hesitation. When you show your fangs, they will immediately kneel down and lick the soles of your shoes, and will even bring up the golden signboard of the dragon race to win them over. This reminded him of a classic line by Chekhov. You know, my brother is also a military policeman. No problem. Zhang Yi leaned back in his chair, neither rejecting their overtures nor giving them an overly enthusiastic response, simply saying indifferently, Since you are a friend of the dragon race, please have a seat. The representatives of the smaller tribes, feeling as if they had been granted a pardon, quickly found seats to sit down, appearing to follow Zhang Yi's lead without question. At this moment, when a clear and melodious bell tolled, seemingly piercing the soul and echoing throughout the entire auditorium, the once noisy and chaotic venue fell silent in an instant. Even the most irritable giants instinctively shut their mouths and shrank their necks. An indescribable, immense sense of oppression slowly descended from the dome. "Come on." The radiant silver crown beside him spoke softly, its gaze turning solemn. The true antagonist makes his appearance. All eyes were focused on the very center of the venue. There, where the previously empty space suddenly revealed 6 enormous thrones, each symbolizing supreme power. These are the 6 most powerful super races recognized on Earth today. The first thing to arrive was a sacred, platinum gold radiance that was so intense that one dared not look directly at it. Within that radiance, a being with 2 wings of light and a face so handsome it transcended gender boundaries slowly emerged. The representative of the feathered race is the Archangel, Pymir. He wore a magnificent white robe, held a holy staff symbolizing authority, and had a compassionate yet proud gaze, as if looking down on a flock of lost lambs. As the host, he occupies the central position. Immediately following was a resounding dragon roar, seemingly emanating from the distant Qinling Mountains, carrying an overwhelming weight and majesty that suppressed everything. A pure white dragon phantom, radiating astonishing brilliance, hovered in the air before transforming into a noble-looking figure dressed in a white robe. The representative of the dragon clan is the white dragon, Yuanma. He wasn't as flamboyant as Bymir, but his restrained regal aura made the surrounding space seem to freeze. He landed on the throne, his gaze sweeping gently across the entire room, lingering on Zhang Yi for a moment before giving a slight nod. Then, a scorching and violent aura swept over like a volcanic eruption. A burly man covered in purple scales, his muscles bulging like rocks, slammed heavily onto the throne. The representative of the Tyrannosaurus clan is the Emperor Qing Song. His eyes were filled with aggression, and his whole body exuded a suffocating aura of bloodlust. When his gaze swept over Zhang Yi, a hint of undisguised coldness flashed in his eyes, but it was only fleeting. The Huashu kingdom is now aligned with the Dragon clan. Although Qing Song likes Zhang Yi, he doesn't take him seriously. His true rival is the dragon race. Immediately following was a chilling sensation. The temperature in the entire venue plummeted, and even ice crystals condensed in the air. A tall, slender woman with snow-white skin and long, gray-white hair walked barefoot through the frost. Representative of the Glacier clan, Karen, Queen of the Glacier era. She is Daejay from the Arctic ice field, a survivor of the ice age that once froze the entire world. Her eyes were empty and cold, as if devoid of any emotion. The fifth one is a creature with a peculiar appearance. He has a human torso, but the talons and head of a raptor. The wings on his back are not feathers, but are made of some kind of blue energy storm. He was extremely tall and thin, like a withered bamboo pole, but he gave people an extremely dangerous feeling. The representative of the celestial race is the wind god, the stem moth. This is a race that has retained some bird characteristics, but evolved extremely high intelligence. Legend has it that they live on floating islands in the stratosphere at an altitude of 10,000 meters and hold the power over storms. Finally, there were 2 beams of moonlight descending from the heavens. One streak of silver white, the other of pitch black. 2 stunningly beautiful figures landed simultaneously on the last, enormous double throne. The person on the left has long, silky silver hair, wears streamlined silver battle armor, and has exquisitely beautiful features, as if he were the most perfect masterpiece of creation. Silver Moon Empire. First Silver Moon General, Silver Moon Xiling. The person on the right was completely shrouded in a wide priest's robe with a black background and blue patterns. His face could not be seen clearly, only his eyes, which were as deep and unfathomable as an abyss. Black Moon Empire. First Black Moon Priestess, Dark Moon Misa. These two are the strongest combatants of the Moon People, surpassing even the Crown Silver Whirl and Nightmare Moon Ash Feather. Winged People, dragons, Tyrannosaurus Rex, glaciers, celestials, and Moon People. These 6 races, like insurmountable mountains, suppress the center of the venue. Zhang Yi quietly looked at the 6 thrones. Although he had never been in that top-level circle, he knew very well that those 6 positions were obtained through mere conversation. The struggle behind the scenes is probably beyond the reach of the Huashu Kingdom. However, to be recognized as one of the 6 most powerful races, one must have earned their respect through strength. Is this Earth's strongest card right now? Zhang Yi narrowed his eyes, his fingers lightly tapping the armrest, while he was calculating in his mind. Just how strong is their foundation? He had witnessed firsthand the profound heritage of both ethnic groups. The Silver Moon Empire's 2 silver thrones and Fuxi, the ancestor of the Dragon Clan. From Zhang Yi's current perspective, their strength should be at least 90,000 points. The other 4 ethnic groups are probably quite different as well. The atmosphere inside the Great Hall of the Council of All Souls was solemn and dignified. As the representatives of the 6 super races took their seats, the air in the entire venue seemed to freeze. The simulated starry sky above the dome slowly rotated, casting a beam of holy platinum light that enveloped the Archangel Pymir in the central constellation. Chapter 28. Oh, for the strongest of our time too. Pymir slowly stood up, his 12 wings of light gently flapping behind him, scattering specks of light like diamond dust. As the initiator of this conference, he spoke first, and no one else objected. His voice was not loud, but through some kind of spiritual resonance, it clearly resonated deep within the minds of every living being. Gentlemen, the will of the Creator has come. That ghost of the old era, called the Starry Sky Corridor, is approaching our home with a will to destroy. It is not only a huge celestial body, but also a collection of viruses filled with resentment and distorted rules. Once it crashes into the solar system's core, all order will collapse, Earth's ecology will be rewritten, and we will all lose our means of survival. Bymir's words are full of compassion and a sense of responsibility, like a loving father who has worked tirelessly for all beings. In the face of this catastrophe, there is no distinction of race, no distinction of old or new. Only by uniting as one can we seize that glimmer of hope for survival. Therefore, after careful deliberation by our 6 major races, we have decided to unite all civilizations on Earth to form a star expeditionary force, take the initiative, and advance into the star corridor. A buzzing murmur arose from the audience. Although everyone had expected it, the decision still shocked the nation. That is a declaration of war against the Creator's enemies, a true war of the gods. Pymir raised the holy staff of the Middle Kingdom and gently slammed it to the ground, silencing all the noise. To ensure the efficiency of the operation and avoid unnecessary chaos and sacrifice, we have established the following 4 ironclad rules. These are the bottom line that all participants must abide by. His voice became stern, carrying an air of unquestionable authority. First, the expeditionary force will be divided into 6 columns, each led by one of our 6 super races. Each race can choose which column to join based on its own circumstances and compatibility. Secondly, during the Starry Sky Corridor operation, all members must unconditionally obey the orders of their respective squad leaders. Anyone who disobeys will be executed. Third, this is a war of life and death, and there are no bystanders. All races on Earth capable of interstellar travel must participate in this operation. Any race that tries to live a life of hiding in the rear or attempts to gain something through labor will be considered a traitor and will be attacked by the other races. Upon hearing this, the faces of many representatives of small tribes who had been hoping for a lucky break turned deathly pale. This is a forced conscription, and the term, to exterminate a clan, is used to refer to a mobilization order that threatens the people. Zhang Yi nodded, though. He had already anticipated this. How could he allow anyone to cheat or shirk their responsibilities? Fourth point. Bymir's gaze swept across the entire room, his eyes becoming exceptionally sharp. To prevent internal strife, it is strictly forbidden for anyone to betray or maliciously frame their own people during operations. Otherwise, if discovered, the 6 major tribes will unite to subject the entire tribe to a genocidal trial. Whoosh! The entire audience erupted in uproar. The extermination trial, the highest level of punishment, means uprooting the entire clan, leaving no one alive. The 6 super races united, to put it bluntly, were enough to wipe out all other races on the entire planet. This order, which seeks their opinions, must be obeyed by everyone. However, when Zhang Yi and the others, who were sitting on the purple gold platform, heard this 4th rule, they revealed a meaningful sneer. That sounds nice. King Arthur gave a low, cold snort, his palms stroking the hilt of the sword in the stone. This rule seems fair, but it is actually full of loopholes.
Ah.
Yang Xinshin analyzed calmly. What if the 6 major races who broke the rules themselves? Who will judge them? Will the Tyrannosaurus clan judge the Dragon clan, or will the Feathered Human clan judge themselves? In fact, this is to establish the absolute dominance of the 6 major races. Saladin pointed out incisively, they hold the final say. So what if they betray their own people? They've covered it up perfectly. Who will find out? Zhang Yi leaned back in his chair, his gaze passing through the crowd to the figures in the dark corners in the distance. The location of the Nightmare clan and the Nor clan. Rules are made for the weak. Zhang Yi said calmly. For the strong, that's just a fig leaf. The Nightmare clan, the Nor clan, and the Blood clan and Spider Demon clan whose leader died, they will definitely stop hating me because of this rule. On the contrary, this will make their schemes more covert and insidious. If they are caught red-handed, they will leave evidence, which could lead to accidental injury or death. Yang Xinshin nodded, a hint of murderous intent flashing in her eyes. In that case, we can refer to this standard when we're moving around inside. If no one sees us, then they'll be the ones to suffer. After explaining the strict rules, a benevolent smile returned to Phoebus's perfect face. After the stick comes the carrot. Of course, risk and reward always go hand in hand. Bymir opened his arms as if embracing the whole world. Participating in this expedition is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for evolution for every race. First, it comes from the Creator's grace. This needs no further explanation. The oracle has already been issued. Those who contribute to the destruction of the star corridor, whether by destroying the core or clearing away the contaminants, will receive a high-purity ether infusion and even the authority to ascend their entire race. When the term racial promotion was mentioned, the breathing of countless racial representatives below became heavy. Why are the Ihan tribes so strong? Why did the Druckers become a nightmare for all races and eventually perish? Why were the Star Clan able to become the strongest in that era? Because the Creator controlled the underlying code. He blessed them. Who wants to be the chosen one? The second benefit is the legacy of the Starry Sky clan. There was a hint of seduction in Bymir's voice. The Starry Sky corridor is located in a special subspace, isolated from the outside world's great cycle. Through certain intelligence channels, we have confirmed that the true spirits of the countless powerful members of the Starry Sky clan who perished back then did not return to the Ether Sea. What does that mean? Bymir looked around and slowly uttered a sentence. This means that countless unclaimed, high purity, and even fragments of complete rules of the soul are floating there. It's certain that we will obtain the legendary supercosmic level matter from there.
Boom.
If the previous rewards from the Creator were somewhat abstract, then this description of the Star Clan legacy ignited the atmosphere of the entire venue. Chapter 28:05 Chasing the Stars 1. All the other girls' eyes turned red. The path to repairing the chain becomes increasingly difficult as it progresses. From Delta Ipsilon, there is a hurdle. From the Ipsilon church level, it is an insurmountable barrier. To advance from the rank of cult to the rank of knight is even more difficult than ascending to heaven. Many races, even if they exhaust all their resources, may not be able to cultivate a single knight-level powerhouse. As for the queen level, which is a foundation possessed only by the 6 super races, it is a true myth. Now, a dungeon overflowing with experience packs and upgrade books is right in front of you. Although Bimir didn't say it explicitly, the phrase Zhang Yi had spread was echoing in everyone's minds. Omega Ladder. The Star Clan is a race that has given birth to beings of the Omega realm. If I could gain even a sliver of insight into that realm, or find the remains of an Omega-level expert, that's like rising to the top in one step. Looking down at the excited and furious representatives of all races below, who were ready to rush into space, Bimir nodded in satisfaction. Desire is the best driving force. Suddenly, Bimir's gaze shifted, piercing through the layers of people, and landed precisely on Zhang Yi. Lord Chaos. Bimir smiled and spoke, his tone polite but carrying a sense of scrutiny from someone in a superior position. It is said that you are currently the only strong person on Earth who has had close contact with the Star Corridor and survived. All eyes in the room instantly focused on Zhang Yi. For the future of all races and to increase our chances of success on this expedition, do you have any crucial intelligence to add? Or any special discoveries you'd like to share?
This was a test.
Bimir clearly did not fully believe that the information Zhang Yi had released earlier was all there was. That is indeed the case. As the ruthless ruler who destroyed the Zeepan kingdom, Zhang Yi possesses the core secrets of that ancient race regarding the Star Corridor. Zhang Yi sat in the chair, facing the Archangel's questioning without the slightest sign of panic. He slowly stood up, spread his hands at Bimir, and gave a helpless yet sincere bitter smile. Your Excellency Bimir flatters me too much. Zhang Yi sighed, looking like he still had lingering fears. What I did was hardly an exploration. At most, it was just a glance at the door if I accidentally got lost. With just one glance, I was almost torn to shreds by those wandering monsters. If I had run fast enough, I would be space junk by now. As for any special discoveries, I really don't know. I was able to come back alive purely out of luck. Zhang Yi's answer was flawless, skillfully combining I know, I didn't see, and I was lucky. The Jaman records of the land of Zihin are the biggest trump card of Mu and Yang Xinshin. How could they possibly say it in such a public place? I'm telling you, there are weapons in the Starry Sky Corridor that can be used to deal with Drucker. I'm telling you that it's a forbidden place for the creator? Keep dreaming. Bimir smiled faintly with a hint of regret and didn't ask anything more. Given Zhang Yi's strength, it's unlikely he could have ventured deep into the Starry Sky Corridor on his own, so what he said is probably true. In that case, it's a real shame. Bimir withdrew his gaze and turned back to face the crowd. The meeting is now adjourned. All delegates, please return to your posts and prepare your forces. We will assemble in near-Earth orbit a day from now. Operation Codename: Operation Star Chaser. The meeting ended quickly, even somewhat hastily, because this was originally a discussion, and this was a notification. The 6 super races have already set the rules of the game. The rest of the myriad races only need to nod in agreement and then risk their lives. As for opposition, in this world where the strong rule, the weak have no right to object. The meeting in Anchi City concluded in an atmosphere that appeared harmonious, but was actually fraught with undercurrents. Although Archangel Bimir used sacred words to depict a grand blueprint of all races uniting to resist the catastrophe, but every strong person present knew in their hearts that this was just the prelude to a reshuffling. The 6 super races eat meat, while the other races can only get a sip of soup, depending on their own abilities and which side they choose. After the meeting, the groups dispersed. Zhang Yi ignored the representatives of the smaller clans who were still trying to get close to him and led Yang Xinshin and the others straight to the resting area where the dragons were located. It was a suspended garden located on the east side of Anzi City, which was specially allocated by the Feathered Clan to the Dragon Clan and its allies. As soon as you step into this area, a clear and majestic aura hits you. Bai Longzi Yuanma sat at a table, toying with a white chess piece in his hand, seemingly deducing something. Behind him, Hailan Jiwen stood as still as an iron tower, his eyes slightly closed, yet always vigilant of any movement around him. Besides these 2 supreme beings, The garden also gathered the faces of Nashoki. Zhang Yi's gaze swept over the area, and he couldn't help but feel a slight chill. It turns out that the dragon's circle of friends is much larger than I imagined. Besides the Skywing clan representative, Lightwing, whom we had seen outside the city before, there were many other powerful beings here. King Kim of the Deep Blue Kingdom, accompanied by his 6 generals, sat around a table, seemingly engaged in a heated discussion about the allocation of marine resources. In a corner of the garden, a figure caught Zhang Yi's attention. He was a handsome man wearing a black fitted trench coat, tall and slender, with skin so fair it was almost translucent. She leaned against the railing alone, holding a glass of red wine, her expression languid and elegant. Most strangely, around the body of the 5 or 6 luminous fish, composed of pure spiritual matter, swam by. These fish are not bound by gravity. They dart merrily through the air, leaving behind dreamlike trails. Lok Hao of the Spirit Clan? I suppose the Spirit Clan is also a race closely related to the Dragon Clan. Zhang Yi walked over and greeted him with a smile. Lord Lok, it's a pleasure to meet you. Luo Qiao turned her head, a hint of a smile flashing in her pure black eyes. She stood up, raised her wine glass, and gestured to Zhang Yi. Lord Chaos, it's good to meet you. I visited Tianhai City before and caused you a lot of trouble. I didn't expect the world to be so small. After going around, I realized that everyone is following the same big brother. Luo Qiao's words carried a hint of humor and self-deprecation. As a powerful spiritual race, the Eldar claimed to be neutral, but when faced with matters of life and death, they chose the more stable and ancient dragon race as their support. Yes, it's good to rest in the shade of a big tree. Zhang Yi nodded, his gaze deep. The two sat down facing each other. Zhang Yi looked at this mysterious spirit clan expert and, thinking of a nightmare clan who was also skilled in the mental realm, felt a stronger urge to strike up a conversation. Chapter 28:06 Chasing the Stars 2. Zhang Yi smiled and said, It's certainly a good thing to have a big tree to rely on. However, whether this big tree can shelter us from the coming storm depends on whether we, the people under the tree, can hold our ground. The two exchanged a smile. Some things didn't need to be said explicitly, and they understood each other implicitly. At this moment, Bai Longzi Yuanma put down the chess piece in his hand, raised his head, and swept his gentle gaze across the entire arena. The crowd that had been whispering immediately fell silent and gathered around. Gentlemen. Bai Longzi's voice wasn't loud, but it clearly reached everyone's ears. Since everyone has chosen to trust the Dragon Clan and join our ranks, I must say some unpleasant things up front. The Starry Sky Corridor is not an amusement park. It is the burial ground of the previous civilization and the meat grinder of this one. Once inside, life and death are in the hands of fate. Although my dragon race is powerful, we cannot protect everyone at all times. What we can do is provide direction, deterrence, and, at the most critical moments, hold up a sky for everyone. Everyone nodded, their expressions solemn. Lord Yuanma, when shall we depart? The Skywing clan's Lightwing asked somewhat urgently. 3 days later. Bai Longzi extended 3 fingers. I will go back to Qingling Palace in the next 3 days. At this point, Bai Longzi's expression became exceptionally respectful, even showing a hint of piety. The interior of the Starry Sky Corridor is chaotic and full of unknown variables. Based on our experience alone, we may not be able to find the right path. I will consult with our ancestor Fuxi and request a proverb. It is a guide obtained by our ancestor through his supreme deductive arts and glimpsing the secrets of heaven. It will become our greatest reliance for survival in the corridor. Upon hearing the words ancestor, all the powerful alien beings present showed expressions of awe. That ancient being, who has survived for hundreds of millions of years, is the true living embodiment of planet and the root of the dragon race's enduring strength. With his guidance, the safety of this operation will undoubtedly be greatly increased. As for troop strength, Bai Longzi's gaze sharpened. This operation is no ordinary matter. After returning to their respective tribes, they must gather their elite forces and there can be no slackening or reservations. Chaos. Bai Longzi suddenly called out names. Exist. Zhang Yi stood up and bowed in greeting. The people of Huaxu Kingdom have performed exceptionally well during this period, representing the people of the past. However, I hope you will not become complacent. Bai Longzi said earnestly, many of the dangers in the Starry Sky Corridor are beyond the reach of technological weapons. Senior, how many people do I need to bring? Zhang Yi asked. This is also his biggest dilemma right now. Bringing too much might result in heavy losses. Bringing too little might not be enough. Bai Longzi shook his head. The key point is not the number of people. If that kind of force brings a bunch of cannon fodder in, it will not only be useless, but will also become a burden or even become nourishment for the enemy. What we need is functionality. Talented individuals with diverse abilities. Whether they excel in combat, reconnaissance, breaking seals, healing, or even survival in extreme environments. The team is well-equipped and can handle all sorts of strange crises that may occur at any time. Even if a superhuman is not strong in combat, as long as his ability is special enough, he may be able to save everyone's lives at a critical moment. Upon hearing this, Zhang Yi nodded thoughtfully. Understood. Streamline the administration and reduce staff, with everyone fulfilling their responsibilities. Bai Longzi made the same request to other clans, asking them to return to their respective clans and gather individuals with special abilities. As for combat strength, that's not the most crucial factor. Go. Bai Longzi waved his hand. 3 days from now, we will gather near the track. I hope that by then, we will all be standing here unharmed. After bidding farewell to Bai Longzi, Zhang Yi led his team out of the Dragon Clan's rest area. In a secluded corridor in Annex, King Arthur, Morgan, Saladin, and others had been waiting for some time. After all, it was Zhang Yi who was familiar with the Dragon Clan, not the entire generation of them. Therefore, they could only wait here. Upon seeing Zhang Yi emerge, the three immediately went to greet him, their eyes filled with questions. So, what did the Dragon Clan say? King Arthur asked urgently. Zhang Yi did not hide anything and truthfully told Bai Longzi about his request and the 3-day agreement. 3 days. Morgan frowned, the gold coins in his hand spinning rapidly. Time is very tight. We've mobilized resources and screened personnel, but there's simply not enough time. Not enough, but enough. Zhang Yi said calmly, this is like fighting for food. If you're even a step too slow, you won't even get a drop of soup. He looked at the 3 human leaders before him, his tone becoming serious. Everyone, I have something to say up front. Although the dragons are powerful, strictly speaking, they are merely allies of the Huaxu Kingdom and guardians of the East. They have no obligation to provide protection to you. To put it bluntly, in some extreme cases, if their interests conflict, they might not hesitate to sacrifice you. These words may be harsh, but they are the absolute truth. King Arthur and the others looked rather grim, but they did not refute him. They are all seasoned politicians and naturally understand the reasons behind this. But Zhang Yi changed the subject, a smile that seemed to belong to one of his own people appearing on his face. After all, we are all human beings of the same generation. In this era, where all kinds of races coexist, if we don't stick together, we will really be at the mercy of others. I can allow you to travel with the Huaxu Kingdom's team, and I can even include you in the Dragon Clan's protection circle. However, there is one condition. Zhang Yi's eyes instantly sharpened, like a drawn sword. After you have entered the Starry Sky Corridor, all of you must unconditionally obey my commands. If you can't do it, then do as you please. Whether you live or die is up to fate. The air was still for a few seconds. Saladin spoke first, his voice hoarse but firm. The Kutan Empire is willing to obey His Majesty Chaos's orders. For this Shadow Emperor who believes in power, following the strong is a matter of course. Moreover, Saladin and Zhang Yi had a good relationship. He knew that Zhang Yi was always sharp-tongued but kind-hearted towards his own people. Even if he said something harsh, he wouldn't stand idly by if they were in real danger. King Arthur hesitated for a moment, glanced at the sword in his hand, and finally sighed and nodded. The Britannia Knights are willing to accept command, but on the condition that we are not sent to our deaths. Chapter 2807 Taming the New Weapon 1. Don't worry, I'm not that stupid. Zhang Yi shrugged and said to King Arthur, the Starry Sky Corridor is fraught with danger. We must work together to reach the end. Finally, only Benjamin Morgan remained silent. The financial tycoon looked conflicted. Mr. Chaos, I certainly trust your strength. However, Morgan gave a wry smile. I can't make this decision alone. You know, there's the Construct clan behind Goranvaya. Those mechanical-headed guys have been quite interested in the Star Corridor lately. They may seek to have more control rather than be completely obedient to you. Therefore, I need to go back and discuss it with the Construct people before making a decision. When the time comes, whichever unit they are with, we will definitely go with them too. Zhang Yi was not surprised by this. The Construct race was also a powerful ancient civilization with extremely advanced technology, even comparable to that of the Huashu Kingdom. They are arrogant, that's normal. Zhang Yi nodded. Just give me an answer within a day. I believe there's no need to waste too much time on this kind of thing. After he finished speaking, he looked around and suddenly realized that one person was missing. Where is Morana? That always cold and aloof goddess of winter has disappeared since she entered An City. King Arthur sighed and pointed to the other side of the venue, the area occupied by the Ice Clan. She went over there. Fremons is located in the far north, overlapping with the territory of the Glacier Clan. 2 years ago, Morana swore allegiance to the Glacier Clan's Ice Queen, Karen. In this operation, she will fight as a vassal of the Ice River Clan and will not act with us. Upon hearing this, Zhang Yi merely raised an eyebrow slightly, showing little surprise or anger. Everyone has their own choices and their own way of surviving. Morana's choice to align herself with the Glacier Clan was also for the sake of her people. Moreover, the Ice River Clan is also very powerful, capable of standing alongside the Dragon Clan, so it's wrong for them to choose not to say anything. Let her be. Zhang Yi waved his hand. Just don't stand on the opposite side of me when the time comes. Now that everything is settled, let's dismiss everyone. Go back and prepare yourselves well. Bring out your best stuff. See you in space, Queen of Heaven. Upon returning to Tianhai City, the entire Huashu Kingdom's massive war machine immediately sprang into action. Zhang Yi sat in the command room as orders flew out like snowflakes. Xian, issue the highest level call for submissions. Notify all high-ranking officials and powerful superhumans in the 6 military regions. We need to gather all T1 and T2 level superhumans in the Huashu Kingdom. Those at the bishop level and above should be added to the selection list, from which the most suitable person to go to the Star Corridor will be chosen. Tell them this isn't a drill, it's a life-or-death mission, and a chance to change their fate. If you want to fight for a future, then sign up. If you're afraid of death, we won't force you. You can stay home and defend the city. With the knowledge of the Jamin script, Zhang Yi was confident about the operation. Moreover, his team is not short of people of all kinds. He is not too eager for assistance from people in other regions. This time, he asked them to go together just to give them an opportunity to grow. If they don't cherish it, Zhang Yi won't care. The entire team will head to the Starry Sky Corridor. The creator promised a reward, which is very tempting. Yang Xinxin's fingers flew across the keyboard, and lists were quickly generated on the screen. Understood. I have already established a multidimensional screening model. In addition to combat ability, I will also focus on their psychological qualities, teamwork ability, and unique characteristics. Okay, you can handle this. Zhang Yi has always trusted Yang Xinxin's efficiency in handling affairs. Combustible, you have the heaviest task. Zhang Yi turned to look at Liu Karen, who was applying oil to the mechanical arm. Within these 14 days, I will have all the Sand Raider robots, armed war maidens, and 1 warships inspected to ensure they are in optimal condition. Also, distribute that batch of newly developed individual exoskeletons and miniature nuclear fusion batteries, and arm our inhuman troops to the teeth. No problem, boss. I guarantee I'll complete the mission. Liu Karen saluted, his eyes burning with the spirit of a craftsman. After arranging all of this, Zhang Yi did not rest. His heart was pounding very fast. There was something he had been wanting to do for a long time. Alone, he quickly left Yunk Manor, directly using the boundless realm to continuously shift his position, and headed straight for the direction of Star Island, Mist Valley. That place is the underground ruins of the Uluwatu Empire. After years of renovation, this place has been transformed into a magnificent underground shelter and armory. Beneath the enormous dome, countless supply depots and hibernation pods are neatly arranged. If an irreversible disaster were to occur in the outside world, this place could accommodate nearly 100 million people. But at this moment, the place is deserted, with only cold, mechanical guards silently patrolling. Zhang Yi did not enter the city, but instead chose a very open area outside the city. He hovered in midair, took a deep breath, and then gently swiped open a dimensional gate with his finger. Buzz. As the space trembled, a huge, ferocious longbow, exuding an ancient and malevolent aura, appeared in his mind. God-killing bow, This is a loot he seized from the Titan Karen, one of the most powerful biological weapons still existing among the Titans. At this moment, the god-slaying bow, though separated from its master, still exuded a chilling and repulsive aura. The spine-like patterns on the bow undulated slightly, as if an invisible giant serpent was coiled around it, flicking its tongue at Zhang Yi, attempting to devour this new holder. Zhang Yi's spoils of war. He now possesses a second biological weapon, and it is a biological weapon created by the Titan race. Isn't he excited to get this treasure? Are you still resisting? Zhang Yi sneered, a hint of satisfaction flashing in his eyes as a master dealing with a mischievous pet. Taming weapons can also be very rewarding. I even killed your master, and you dare to act so arrogantly in front of me with just a weapon? He knew very well that the only source of supernatural power in this world was ether. Whether it's a technological weapon or a mystical artifact, they are essentially different ways of manipulating ether. The Titans are a race of natural artisans, and their greatest skill is living casting. They would hunt powerful ancient creatures and, through blood sacrifices and secret arts, seal the creatures' bodies, bones, and even souls into weapons, thereby giving the weapons self-repairing, automatic target acquisition, and even amplification capabilities. This god-slaying bow was made from the spine of a young dust python. Chapter 28:08 Taming the New Weapon 2. The sword in the tree works on a similar principle, except that because Boss was too weak, the sword in the trees was relatively gentle. But you... Zhang Yi felt the burning and stinging sensation coming from it was filled with resentment and violence. This resentment and brutality did not stem from the weapon's hatred towards Zhang Yi. Biological weapons lack self-awareness. They are merely primitive beings. This ferocity is something the Titans deliberately preserved. Only in this way could they unleash the full power of their biological weapons. However, this suits me just fine. Weapons are more effective when they're aggressive. Zhang Yi gripped the enormous, crimson bow, which was clearly disproportionate to his size. He closed his eyes, bringing his mental state to its peak, and then began to channel his black night-level extraordinary energy into the god-slaying bow. To subdue this weapon, one must use overwhelming force to suppress it. Submit to me. Boom. A storm of black antimatter surged forth, enveloping the god-slaying bow like a tsunami. This immediately triggered its stress response. The red light on the bow surged and flickered, and the longbow began to tremble and twist, as if a giant python were about to come back to life. He stretched out his giant penis and grabbed the spine of the python that was trying to retaliate, forcing it to obey Zhang Yi's penis. This is a contest of will and strength. The remaining consciousness within the god-slaying bow struggled frantically, emitting a silent roar. However, Zhang Yi's will had been tempered by the Nightmare Clan's 9 layers of dreams, making it as firm as a rock and unshakable. Just obediently let me control you. Zhang Yi's void power surged into the bow through his arm, brutally cleansing the mark belonging to Karen and forcibly imprinting his own spiritual coordinates upon it. 1 hour, 2 hours. Gradually, the trembling of the god-slaying bow stopped. The red light on the bow became gentle, and the original pungent resistance disappeared, replaced by a sense of intimacy born of blood ties. It yielded, its brilliance subdued, and it no longer confronted Zhang Yi. During the standoff, Zhang Yi also experienced the power of the god-slaying bow. The strangeness index is a staggering 58,000 points. Zhang Yi looked at the number and nodded in satisfaction. The basic power of this bow is even greater than that of the previous divine-forged bow. After all, it is the treasure of the Titans. When it was in Karen, it already made Zhang Yi feel a huge threat. However, it has now become part of Zhang Yi's power. Let me see just how powerful you really are. Zhang Yi stood up and held a bow. A miraculous scene unfolded. The giant bow, originally several meters long and used only by colossal creatures like titans, automatically shrank and transformed upon sensing Zhang Yi's size, instantly becoming a black longbow suitable for human use. The bow's body changed from dark red to jet black, with white patterns flowing across it, perfectly matching Zhang Yi's god-slaying battlesuit. As expected of a biological weapon, it can actually change according to my strength characteristics. Zhang Yi was amazed. The Titans truly lived up to their reputation as a race of artisans. Their craftsmanship was truly impressive. However, he remembered that when the Titans were wiped out, their geijutsu, artistic skills, were also destroyed. Lu Karen has already started researching it, and with her abilities, she should be able to master the forging technology of this biological weapon sooner or later. Zhang Yi took a deep breath, held the bow, and drew the string with his right hand. Buzz. As the bowstring was drawn back, the surrounding space began to distort. Zhang Yi's spatial power was already strong, but with the blessing of the god-slaying bow, it became even stronger. Countless free-floating etheric energy was forcibly extracted and gathered on the bowstring. Not enough. A glint of light flashed in Zhang Yi's eyes. Second hand of time. Activate. Predict wind speed, airflow, and spatial fluctuations in the next 5 seconds. Boundless realm. Activate. The space in front of the arrow is distorted, shortening the distance and increasing the penetrating power. Power of the netherworld enchantment. A jet-black void energy flowed through Zhang Yi's fingers and into the arrow, turning the originally crimson arrow into absolute black. This is no longer an ordinary arrow. This is a device that integrates time prediction, space acceleration, and antimatter annihilation. Ultimate Sniper, the final chapter of fate.
Boom.
As the bowstring was released, a black lightning bolt instantly pierced through the entire Earth space. It made no sound because it was moving too fast. The sound was left behind. Wherever it passed, it plowed a long, black chasm into the space, a chasm that could not be healed for a long time.
Boom, 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 boom.
Dozens of kilometers away, a superalloy target mountain used to test the strength of defenses was hit by this arrow, and the explosion process was omitted. It simply disappeared. Only a huge pit, several meters in diameter and bottomless, remained in the original spot. The pit walls were as smooth as a mirror, as if a piece had been dug out by a god. Call. Zhang Yi slowly lowered the bow from the bow, looked at his masterpiece in the distance, and a satisfied smile appeared on his lips. Even a black knight-level inhuman would be severely injured if hit by this arrow, if not killed. What a wonderful baby! What a wonderful baby! Zhang Yi liked the god-slaying bow more and more as he looked at it. He never liked close combat. His favorite fighting style was long-range sniping, taking down opponents, and then moving on to another location. Unfortunately, as his strength increased, Xinlian was no longer able to keep up with his ranged attack power. Now that's great. With this god-slaying bow, Zhang Yi will once again become the best sniper. Zhang Yi's eyes burned with fervor. He raised the god-slaying bow from his chest and said calmly, "On this trip to the Starry Sky Corridor, let's see how many enemies will become the dead souls of my longbow." 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. For the past 3 days, The atmosphere on Earth has been extremely oppressive, with a restless sense of impending doom permeating the air. That is the magnetic field resonance caused by the global troop movements and the preheating of high-tech weapons. Tianhai City, Yunk Manor, Ground War Preparation Hall. In front of the enormous holographic sand table, Zhang Yi stood with his back to the wall, wearing a brand-new Godslayer battle suit that Liu Karen had repaired and reinforced overnight. The streamlined black and white armor reflected a chilling glint in the cold light. Before him stood several figures with profound and imposing presence. They represent the pinnacle of the Huashu Kingdom's superhuman combat power, the sharpest fangs of the entire nation. The representative of the Xinjiang region, Hutu. Her uniqueness index has reached 55,000. She received the innate trigram personally taught by Fuxi, and coupled with her innate genius, she is still one of the top 3 strongest people in Huashu Kingdom. Chapter 2809 Full Preparation for War 1 Representatives of the East China Sea Region, Gaochen Li Changgong and Zhuke Jianghan. Li Changgong has changed. His aura is no longer sharp or arrogant. Underneath his combat uniform, he wore a faded old military uniform, his stubble giving him the appearance of a down-on-his-luck, middle-aged man. But the sword with the sheath at his waist always exuded a sharp aura that sent chills down one's spine. It was a kind of danger that came from concealing one's edge to the extreme, as if, to his thought, even space itself could be cleaved in two. The vermilion bird beside him was dressed in a crimson tight-fitting leather armor, with a hot body and eyes that burned with an inextinguishable fighting spirit. The representative of the Northeast Region's National Protection Army is Chen Xuanba, the Black Emperor. He was taciturn, wearing a dark green military overcoat with a high collar that covered half of his face. As a veteran strongman in the military, his strength was already unfathomable. Liu Ya, Han Shanzhua, and Fox Fairy, Hu Mengfang were not among those recruited. The reason is simple. Their strength had gradually fallen behind in the latter half of the process. It seems they prefer to enjoy life rather than be overly concerned with material possessions. Among the people who came this time, the one who caught Zhang Yi's attention the most was the representative from the Jiangnan region, Nuba Zhuyu. This crazy woman, who once gave Zhang Yi a headache, was now standing quietly in the corner. But this silence only made people feel more uneasy. Every time Zhang Yi saw him, he would think of Yuan Kongya, the woman who had once driven him to the brink of despair. Even now, Zhang Yi still harbors a certain degree of apprehension towards Zhuyu. Could this be considered a kind of childhood trauma? This is our lineup for this expedition. Zhang Yi's gaze swept over the crowd, and he nodded slightly. You are all top-tier extraordinary individuals from the Huashu Kingdom, and you are the ones who have been selected through multiple rounds of screening and are the most likely to survive in the Starry Sky Corridor and obtain opportunities. As for the Northwest region and the Southwest region, Zhang Yi glanced at the empty seat and spoke calmly. Their foundation is too weak. They haven't recovered from the previous conflicts. They don't need to participate in this operation. Of course, their share of the subsequent Starry Sky Heritage allocation will also be reduced accordingly. I've always been fair in my dealings. Xiao Lai's strength is indeed weak. The twin brothers in the Southwest region rely heavily on faith. Letting them fight in a foreign land is like letting fish out of water. Therefore, Zhang Yi did not intend to take them there. No one objected. In this era, contribution and reward are always directly proportional. At that moment, a figure emitting a faint glow walked over. Deng Shintong. After undergoing the reconstruction experiment, he seemed to have been reborn. The frivolous air of a young nobleman that he once possessed has vanished, replaced by a gentle and refined yet radiant and transcendent temperament. My esteemed lord, this time I will not remain behind. Deng Shintong looked directly into Zhang Yi's eyes, his tone firm. I have handed over all of Tianhai's daily defense and logistics coordination to Bailey Chongqing. Although his combat skills are not top-notch, he is steady and reliable. With him here, there will be no chaos in the rear. I want to see what that so-called Starry Sky Corridor is really like. Zhang Yi looked at his old friend, raised his eyebrows slightly, and a smile appeared on his lips. The development of biotechnology by the Deng family has always been a strong support for him. In this regard, the entire Tianhai region has benefited greatly. The reason why so many extraordinary individuals have appeared in Tianhai is largely due to the help of the Deng family. Therefore, he knew that Deng Shintong's abilities had made a breakthrough. He didn't know exactly how powerful he was, but since Deng wanted to show off, Zhang Yi was happy to give him the opportunity. Okay, since you want to go, let's go together. However, we should be more cautious when we get there. Don't worry, I'm tough as nails, Deng Shintong said with a confident smile. At that moment, a noisy mechanical grinding sound and the barking of a dog came from behind.
Wait, wait.
We're here too. Professor Leonardo da Vinci came running up, panting, carrying an enormous mechanical backpack filled with all sorts of strange instruments. Beside him was Brian, an alien dog with silver fur, also covered in tactical gear.
Zhang.
You can't leave me behind, Da Vinci shouted as he ran. The starry sky corridor must contain countless unknown technologies. Without a brilliant scientist like me analyzing them, you're all like a bunch of monkeys in a library. You can see, but you can't understand. Monkey? Zhang Yi's eye twitched. Da Vinci was as sharp-tongued as ever. Woof. Boss, I'm going too. I'm going too. Brian stuck out his tongue, stood up, and winked at Zhang Yi with a friendly expression. Without the help of this excellent canine philosopher, your operation would have been full of trouble, wouldn't it? Hee hee. Zhang Yi looked at the man and the dog with a helpless expression. Are you sure you want to go? That place is a meat grinder, and I will protect you at all times. We don't need your protection. Da Vinci patted his chest. I have the latest life-saving technology from the Eye Organization.
And
he suddenly lowered his voice and said mysteriously, the president, who is also Montesquieu, will be going on this mission as well. Zhang Yi's eyes narrowed. Montesquieu also went. Has that old monster who lived for 2,000 years, that ghost who called himself Judas, finally left his oyster island? Yes. Da Vinci nodded. The president said that this might be the last opportunity of this era, and he must witness it, or bring something to an end. Zhang Yi pondered for a moment, and his heart was filled with emotion. The birth of the Starry Sky Corridor was indeed irresistible, even to the old silver coin of the pupil organization. His eyes flickered. He had witnessed Montesquieu's abilities before, but since the other party was able to become the president of the pupil organization and build such a large and mysterious organization, he must be hiding powerful abilities. This is a good opportunity to go and see for myself. In that case, I'll take you with me. East China Sea, coastline. The waves crashed against the rocks, churning up thousands of piles of snow. Zhang Yi arrived here with the elite battle group of Huashu Kingdom, preparing for the final boarding. On a huge rock by the sea, a solitary figure stood quietly, letting the sea breeze flutter the hem of his clothes. He was wearing an old-fashioned black suit and a wide-brimmed top hat, the brim pulled low, covering most of his face, revealing only a pale, wrinkled chin. He stood there like that, yet seemed to belong to a different time and space. The surrounding light seemed to dim because of his presence. Charles Louis Montesquieu, president of the Pupil Organization.
Alright, that's it for today's chapter. Tell me in the comments which part you enjoyed the most. If you love manga style stories, don't forget to like the video and subscribe the Buzz Play Manga. See you in the next chapter with more surprises.